Recording.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like in this dance, like, it's kind of frustrating as a principal if you have your executive telling you, like, be careful because they are a prominent member of the community. Like, I feel like if something were to happen and the principal did decide to put their foot down, like, they might not be backed up by their, whoever, you said it was the chief executive now?
Yeah. Chief executive. Let's see. I just moved from. I'm sorry.
No,
Uh,
it's okay.
they reminded Tim Bobby Molly Scott, the union's representative for teachers, accompanied Jane in her meeting. Okay. Uh, yeah. Molly Scott is her name. Oh no, I'm sorry. Tim called the superintendent. I think it's Ivy. I can't read my computer. Is it Ivy Miller?
Oh, yeah, okay. I see in that bottom paragraph.
About the very last paragraph.
So he's the superintendent. See, that's a little bit scary if he's telling you, like, be careful.
Right.
Like, because, I mean, he's the one you would definitely want on your court if something were to happen. And it seems like he's not going to be on your court.
No, not at all. And he made it very clear. He says, "You basically told me, say, look, you are the chief executive of your school. You determine it how you see fit. Like,
Right.
but my advice is to be careful. Really, I don't have your back. Basically, that's what they're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
I believe this is just my view on it. A lot of times when you deal with cheating incidents, I believe in a teaching moment. Number one, you know,
Oh, yeah.
this is high school. If this happens in college, it's going to probably be a little different, a little more penalty. But again, I think we come up with an alternate assignment, something that number one holds the student responsible for the learning that they're supposed to get to begin with. So, and the other thing I thought about this case too that kind of I thought maybe addressed is the teacher, the fact that this project kind of points towards actual passing for the final grade too.
Yeah, that seemed
I mean, that's
questionable.
a little bit questionable to me. Um,
What'd you say, guy? Repeat it. I'm sorry.
the fact that the project was worth so many points towards the
Oh,
final grade,
yeah.
I think that's a questionable aspect.
Yeah.
It kind of makes it kind of a touchy situation. It's not just like you're going to get a zero and learn from it, and you still have a chance. This fails him, sends him to summer school, takes him out of baseball, whatever else. But
So, so now we are
other teachers
about
be a zero on a grade, and it's not necessarily going to fail you, and he's going to get to play.
right. So now we're looking at more than not just a student issue. Now we're looking at there's an issue with the assignment and the teacher.
Right. Because I get what the teacher's saying. Like, obviously, you don't want kids to plagiarize and you do want to set an example for a teachable moment. But we're always cautioned to count anything more than half of a grade, anyways. Like, we don't want anything weighted more than 50% of the grade book. Like, our principal always talks to us about that because that's really not fair if you grade one thing for over half of their points and only one assignment's in there. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. That's true.
Yeah, we have in our county, we have and being a math teacher, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a smoke screen, I think. But we have a 60-40, 60 for majors, 40 for minors, and you have to have 2 to 4 minors, minimum 2 to 4 majors, minimum 10 minors per quarter.
Right.
And they said that's so everybody's graded the same. I said, well, everybody's not graded the same unless they have exactly the same amount of number majors and minors.
Right.
I can still go in and say this assignment counts more or my majors count more, but it does somewhat keep you from one assignment, counting the whole.
Right.
So I think we should focus on that segment also in section B in chapter 8. Section B, participants in extracurricular activities. Yeah, talks about several states, Texas and West Virginia, and their focus points. I think one of them says no pass, no play statute.
Right.
And that could be something that is coming to play here with this particular student. But
right.
The thing is, he's already playing. Like,
the
season's already started. This is during season.
Right.
So
Well, and a
um,
problem that I have too, I mean, like some states go real far into it because Montana, in that last paragraph on that page, says that Montana always rules in favor of setting higher standards for extracurricular participation than are required by the state or required for extracurricular participation or for graduation. So they have, like, as a state, required higher expectations for their sports players. So I think that's a comment that needs to be made, is like you're setting a precedent then for all sports players that, you know, well, if you cheat on an assignment, like we're just going to sweep it under the rug. So, but I do think because of the way it's worded, if it does say may cause a failing grade, I think in that case that, I mean, an alternative assignment might not be a bad scenario.
I agree.
We should approach this from the standpoint in North Carolina, this wouldn't be an issue because he would still be able to play baseball because it's based on the previous semester, not this one.
Yeah,
yeah, that's true.
That's true. I think we should approach that as that's correct. I agree with that.
I mean, I just thought about that, but I mean, really, it's kind of, again, here you have to pass a certain amount. Their standards set by North Carolina High School Athletic Association. They're going to differ from this, but
yeah, that's true.
you can just do that same season. And it's a summer tournament, which is also, that's not, you know, a North Carolina High School Athletics. So I don't know. It's kind of it's a weird case.
It says summer tournament.
Yes.
So this
during the it's a summer baseball tournament. So
this must be like a late June thing or early June, maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's still spring, though.
Mm-hmm. But then I have a problem with this because the way this is worded also says cheating of any kind may require a failing grade by the teacher. So like you could also make the argument, well, then that's the teacher's discretion. Like, you know, did the teacher have clear expectations set?
Right.
You know, did she talk about plagiarism before she gave this assignment? You know what I mean? Because that's, if you don't, as a teacher, like, even though, I mean, that should be explicitly understood. Like, I feel like as a teacher, if you don't lay out all of those rules ahead of time, then you fall into the category, well, you didn't explain it as well. So, you know, that could be an issue also.
Well, it did say that the mother, I believe, signed the school handbook, right?
And
right.
Yeah. So I think this would be a point where we go back and review the school's policy on
the entire handbook.
Yep, the entire handbook. Review the school's policy. Start with that. And you know, in most schools that I think it's, you know, like our school, it doesn't specifically address like exactly what actions, but it does state that it's not tolerated. So I think like some of the actions would be also, you know, kind of lean back on the teacher. Like, okay, what in the case, you know, how is this student, you know, a little bit of background about the student. Okay, is this something that they would do constantly? You know, is this, you know, where does this student stand in your class? You know, if we know and we identify, like, it sounds like this particular student just didn't have the time, right? He didn't have the time, but has always been a student that has been involved in regularly participating and so on. So I don't know about a 0 though. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it would go back to, like you said, the previous conduct in the classes too. Like, but at least he was upfront and honest and did have, like, you know, he did come forward with it.
That's
and
one of the first things I always look at when I ask a kid or I confront a situation, if they'll take responsibility and want to make it right. But I always scare them too. I was like, if I have to take the time and get the administration involved, you know, it's going to be a little bit different, you know.
Right.
But and we deal with it pretty regularly.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Bad thing, it's usually the smarter kids that I deal with that get caught in these situations.
Yeah.
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 The ones that
Yeah.
I wish some of the others would at least put forth the effort to try to cheat sometimes.
So I think we need to try to address question 3.
The ethical question.
Yes. I'm trying to find that. And it's she said it's where it's
In the
located.
document that's attached to it,
I think it's at the bottom of that document.
role of the principal. It's the last part: justice, care, critique, and profession.
Okay. Let's see if I can find mine. Materials folder. Materials folder on the main menu.
No,
If you click on the document at the top of the case study,
Yeah. Oh,
and then scroll down to the bottom
I
of
see
it,
it.
it's also there.
I see it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
hmm
Yeah.
Okay, well, y'all fill me in. I'm trying to like get on Gardner's Web thing, and the hamster got out while we were gone, so there's like a lot going on.
Oh no. Okay, so essentially like the case, did you read the case study yet or no?
No.
Okay, so the case study is just about a kid that was caught, like he essentially took his whole brother's report and turned it in as his own to a teacher. And the teacher went to the principal and is trying to give him a 0 for it. But because the assignment counts more than half of his final grade, that would mean he would fail the class. And he's a member of the baseball team, so then that could affect like him playing in some summer tournament. And then essentially like the principal consulted the superintendent, and the superintendent was like, be careful because some relative of this kid is like on the Board of Education or something. Yeah. So he's like, I don't know, cautioning him from acting that way. But then also the teacher brought her like union rep with her to the meeting with the principal. So
Okay.
he's kind of like caught between a rock and a hard place.
Right. Okay.
So right now we're focusing on the roles of a principal and the multiple ethical paradigm. Like what are the 4 paradigms of ethics: justice, care, critique, and I think there's one more.
Profession.
Yeah, profession. And Guy, I think you spoke on one of them already. Yeah, Guy, you have like justice, like fairness, equity, and justice, like maybe giving a student another opportunity.
and the thing is, a lot of time with the cheating incidences, I mean, it needs to be documented. Obviously, we always say that.
Right.
You'll find out a lot of times, just like the kid I dealt with last year with the assistant superintendent, this was not his first time, going through a situation like this. And this is a kid in National Honor Society that probably already should have had that stripped from him. But again, people were scared. But if they had proper documentation and gone through steps, and initially they could have, probably handled it a little different.
That is true. I think you're right. I think that is one piece that is definitely has to take place. There has to be some form of documentation because without that, if you have your prior offense, like I experienced that same thing this year with a couple of students with NCBPS, and they had all their documentation and were able to, make calls based off of prior history. So it wasn't a guessing game. Like what decision should we make? Like we've already been down this road 2 times, so we know what's the next phase, the next step.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree, documentation. Corporal punishment is illegal. No, we're not.
call in this case.
Oh, there's a whole section on that in the textbook, which I read, which I was like, why am I even reading this? Because North Carolina does not allow that. But I was like, I can't even believe there's apparently states that still do, guys.
Actually, with consent, you can, I think. You know,
Ugh. Who the heck would, I mean,
my
no.
parents would consent to have my ass beat if I was still there. Probably.
I mean, mine probably would have too, but like, could you imagine as a principal having to do that and then fearing a lawsuit? Like, absolutely not.
Right. Right.
Oh,
I
gosh.
think for me, I had enough punishment at home, so it didn't matter. It wasn't
Yeah.
It was double. I'd get it at school and then go home and get it again.
So I think the only one that applies with justice is fairness, equity, and
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess,
They're having that probable cause, reasonable suspicion that they've done something.
right. And they definitely obviously want us to talk about that arbitrary and capricious. So I guess, like, does that mean like we just need to keep in mind whatever we pick to do with our kid, that we need to have the mindset that we could be sued? Is that what that's like implying?
Just gotta say that you need to have your facts and everything there in line. That way,
Before.
decisions can be made on facts, not just on a judgment.
Okay.
And that goes back to what a guy just spoke about, having that documentation.
Right.
If you have that, then it's not arbitrary. You know, this is factual. Like it's repeated offense.
So,
Right.
Yep. And I don't think we read in this case study where it was mentioned that there was any evidence of this happening before.
previously.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nothing was stated. No.
But again, you also have to be careful, and that's why the whole May thing and giving teachers the discretion. Whether, you know, if I'd gone last year on my case with my student, whose mom was an assistant superintendent, and she starts saying, well, so-and-so did this and this didn't happen. So knowing, you know, different other cases, I mean, it could sort of documentation and trying to develop some sort of consistency, I think, you know, versus give them a 0 the first time and they fail, kind of not everybody's going to do that. And
Right.
Right. I think that's big.
And I've done this before when I've had a cheating incident. I've gone to other teachers and said, have you dealt with this student or something? How would you handle it versus my first instinct sometime might be to.
Does it say in the case study what the student said, like afterwards?
He admitted to it right away.
Okay.
Which again, I said, when a student owns up to it, usually I give them a little more chance to redeem themselves and do it right.
I know that's how our administrative staff kind of handles things. Like if a student's honest about it, they still get punished, but it's not as harshly. But for students that deny it, and then we have evidence of it anyways, then obviously they throw them the book.
Like in the legal system, that's an additional charge that's hindering and delay.
Right.
No consequence come.
Yep. Okay.
So the one thing that they talk about with due process that she did want us to discuss, which was the 2 different types of it, which are right at the front of the.
What page?
I'm getting there. It's page 146.
Substantial.
Yeah, so the substantive and procedural, which I feel like we've kind of already touched on this, but I guess we just need to make sure we use the terminology. 146, and it's italicized.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, you're good.
I think with procedural, it just has to be, you have to have a more clear-cut, zero tolerance type. You know, this is the penalty for doing this type, almost like a law or something that supports it.
Policy, yeah.
Right.
Whereas with substantive.
Yeah. So the problem I have with that is like we have no prior knowledge. So I guess we kind of almost have to have 2 different options where like if previously they have given kids 0s for cheating, then that's what needs to happen now. And then if previously they've given them another chance, then that's what needs to happen now.
Right.
So you saying, Deanna, that consistently across, right?
Yeah, consistently across the board, because
not case by case, not by student per se.
Right. Yeah.
Not by the superintendent. uh,
But
where
I think so many times that administrators don't want to be the one that has to deal with it initially, so they push it to us, leave that open-ended judgment on our part. I don't think they want to pick the battles sometimes. Sorry.
Right.
That's why we don't have clear cut. Everybody gets a 0 the first time.
Right. But I think in this case, especially because he's potentially like going to have an issue with a board member, like in my opinion, if I were in that situation, I think I would want to know how it's been handled previously by that teacher and by other teachers at the school.
Right.
Because then it could also be a personnel issue. Like, okay, well, if this teacher has given a 0 before and nobody else at the school has, like maybe I need to have a personal discussion with this teacher then.
Yeah, that's when I agree.
So
I agree. So substantive. I think that's substantive. Yeah.
So that's just like requiring that the rules that are already in place are fair. And then procedural is that you're
how we carry
using
them,
them. Right.
How you carry it out.
Yeah.
Well, I think those two are definitely in question here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. To the point where it's like almost getting into some illegal behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some illegal behaviors where it's becoming arbitrary, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
That's why I think it's important to know how that teacher has handled it previously. Like, is she trying to throw the book at this kid because he plays sports, or is she doing that because she's already done that before?
Yeah. Well, and I think it goes back to what you mentioned earlier about why does this assignment weigh so much,
Mm-hmm.
right? Why does it weigh so much? And because what I've found is when you do have those projects or those assignments that are like that are weigh heavily, students will go to no ends to basically do whatever it takes to. Yeah, they will. They will. They will. They'll go no ends to make sure the project is complete. So it's almost like a sense of we're asking for that behavior,
Right.
so to speak.
And we can't be hypocritical of the weight of the content because I think our home accounts for 70% of our class grade this time. I read somewhere.
Ugh.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Wow. Wow. I think that goes. Whoa.
Which is really not that bad because if you don't do it, there's no reason to pass the class to begin with.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. We won't even be licensed.
And it makes all these other little assignments a lot less. Maybe.
Yeah, it's true. That is true.
It's really to our advantage.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. I guess the next paradigm, care, loyalty and trust, concern and connection. All of these.
Yeah, because as a principal, you're either going to ruin the trust of the teacher or potentially like completely ruin the trust or relationships that you have with the student and their parent too. So you have to be really careful on both sides.
Yeah. There's already established a high level of loyalty and trust already with the superintendent and the student's family.
Right.
Which brought about a concern and rather a moment to reflect on the connection that they already have with that family. So but I don't know if I see much of, as you just mentioned, like attention and support, right? I don't see support from superintendent to chief executive officer of the school. Don't see the support there.
Yeah.
You don't really see the support from the principal to the teacher yet. We haven't, because the teacher is not really rarely mentioned.
There should be more support. There should be more shared information in the decision-making process
Yep.
of their concern, rather than just putting it off on the teacher and saying, be careful, tread lightly, however you decide. Maybe the principal or administrator needs to say, you know, let's all sit down together. Let's have this conversation. Let's look at some previous instances, how we've handled it. Let's gather our data and information, and proceed from there.
Yeah, because I agree. Because I think
Don't push it all off on the teacher.
Yeah.
like what if
Is that
what if this
But
child
does it speak on like any relationship the superintendent has had like previously with incidents in the past where the principal would even have warned the teacher of that?
No.
The superintendent's just worried because of the uncle being a board member and
Right.
chamber member.
Yeah.
that he's passionate, Mr. Mike is passionate about getting the benefits
Raising money for the
that
community.
sports bring
Okay.
to the community for the kids. That's what he's passionate about.
Okay.
How sports benefit the school, pretty much. And there's a lot of people out there that think that way too.
Right.
There's a lot.
Oh yeah.
But let's think, if this wasn't his child, right? What if it wasn't his child?
Exactly. That's
Right. Right. If it's
Mhm.
not his child, we still gonna you still gonna follow the guidelines. So
Right.
that's what makes it even like easier for me. It's like this is a standard that's gonna be set across the board for all athletes.
Right.
Unfortunately, your child's gonna be the one that's gonna be,
Affected by it, but
yeah, and his teammates.
yeah.
Sounds like he's important.
And
Mhm.
I tell my kids, I have 2 kids in high school where I'm at. I said, I'm gonna tell you, if you get caught cheating or put yourself in any situation like this, you're just like everybody else. Don't expect me to. Which I scare them to death if they do. I'm like, I don't want to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
As a parent and a teacher and a coach,
Yeah.
a lot of it's got to do with their morals to begin with. Like I said, the one I dealt with last year was a little bit blind to some of her son's actions and went on the defensive. But I had the support of my principal and we worked through it. And again, I think it helped because I'm pretty sure not only did he cheat, I'm pretty sure she plagiarized it and copied it for him last minute.
Oh shit.
Wow. Wow.
And Kayla, she was the assistant superintendent in my system. And this was her son.
Oh shit.
Wow. There you go.
That's
You-
ridiculous.
Use that power. That goes to our next topic then, critique, like corrupted morals, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
Corrupted morals, power, critical theory. I'm not sure about that. Social class, I would definitely say.
Well, again, that goes back. You've got this board member who were threatened by power, or threatened by,
Yeah.
But that's like the double standard of all of it too. It's like
Human
you
rights.
tiptoe around these people, but at the same time, you just make the problem worse, and you give them more power by tiptoeing around them when they know that
Right.
I don't know.
That's what I told the lady last year. I said, other teachers are scared of you. I said, he's been doing it. There's documentation of it.
Mhm.
They don't call you. They don't tell you every time that he does,
Right.
Wow.
I grew up with her, went to school with her, so I'm not as threatened by her, but I probably should be because she hates me now, but probably. Anyway.
Yep. Okay. Let's just keep moving to the last one. Profession. Wow. So much. Bless you.
Thanks.
COVID.
Again, accountability for academic success.
COVID.
Again, I think make it a teaching moment, give them a chance to still show that they getting what they're supposed to learn by redoing it. I think the alternate assignment option there comes into play as something that you could do.
Mhm.
Again, you're still holding them accountable.
Yeah, that goes with that. I think consider and evaluate the potential morale and legal consequences of decision making. Like what you just
And,
said.
and you teach them what is plagiarism, what constitutes plagiarism and cheating. Not just obviously this was blatant, but make it a I use it as a lesson in class
Right.
because we do so much with research online today and stuff that.
Well, and I think too, like, obviously if this kid plays sports, like there's a potential for him to go to college and not necessarily play sports, but like he probably has the desire to go. So I think like if you go down to the last one, if you're thinking of the best interest of the student, like they still need to learn how to write whatever this paper is in the first place for their future. And
Right.
to me, like the
Right.
punishment would be even worse than just like taking the 0 and having to go to summer school. Like, no, the punishment would be worse because obviously the kid, he didn't have time, but he probably didn't want to write the paper in the first place. So if you actually make the kid write the paper, then to me, that would be more punishment because our summer school's a joke. So like, I know if a kid had to go to our summer school, like they'd be like, okay, whatever, that's like a week of my time. And it's only half days. So it's like really not like that. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I think it'd be
Online. It's going to be online this summer.
right. Well, we're not even having any. Pretty much everybody was like asked to pass kids, but I don't even want to talk about that. So.
Oh, we're talking about the best interests of students right now, right?
Right. Yep. So let's not
about
even.
20 internship hours this week setting up our summer school and identifying the kids that needed credit. So contacting and calling.
Lucky you, guy.
I got to call every one of them and enter them all in. And
oh, that would be horrible.
That's a double-edged sword there. Got like yeah, great, you got your hours, but then it's like, oof, that was.
And it's every parent's like, well, yeah, they want to do it, but I want them to do it, but I don't know if they want to do it. I was like, well, you're the parent. Maybe you should make a decision here and say,
right.
I need confirmation. We're gonna sign them up or not.
Right. Yeah, that's what's scary about this remote learning. Like the accountability at home. There's absolutely, very little.
Now, you did find that when you start looking at using Edgenuity and these online platforms for recovering classes, most of them are repeat offenders. So they're used to the platform.
Right.
They can navigate.
Maybe they know it's not just, COVID-19. I'm not going to get penalized either. I'm going to get credit or I'm not,
Yeah.
It's not uncomfortable enough. I used to have a teacher that was cheating. She was also one of our coaches. So like if you cheated on a paper, she did double or nothing. You had to write double the amount, but then you only got half the grade.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it was a 5-page paper. Now it's 10, and you can't use any of the original stuff you originally wrote about, and the highest you can get's a 50.
In a situation like this case study, that would be good too, because being that counted enough to fail them, it still gives them a chance to pass the class, but not go in and get full credit and look like nothing ever happened either.
Right.
Yeah, you're.
That's true. That is true.
Because if you do it in college, you just get kicked out of that class and don't get any credit for that class. So it's like, it's still on your transcript.
Right.
Yep.
Sorry, guys. I had to go get my son, so.
Oh, you're fine.
Ooh, I'm probably going to mute myself just so that you don't have to hear this.
Well, I think we're about to the end of this, right?
I mean, I think we've pretty much gone through everything.
Okay.
As far as putting it together in PowerPoint, what's the plan there?
I don't really know what order we should do this in. I mean, obviously there needs to be probably separate slides highlighting our like ethical things we talked about just now. But there probably needs to be slides about our due process information that we talked about as well.
Okay.
And the academic aspect. So I don't know if like
academic due process, and then this for this It's paradigm.
I mean, I can throw it together tonight after he goes to bed. OMG.
Okay.
I can throw it together and then send it to you guys if you want to like edit or make changes to it or whatever.
I think we definitely should do that. Don't want to throw it all on you, but
Well,
if we can
I
put it
took
together,
really
share
good
it.
notes on it.
I saw you were writing something, so.
Bless. I took really good notes on the ethical stuff, but did you guys take notes on like our academic part or no?
No, but I think we can all kind of comment on that if we, in that slide, right?
Okay.
Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can all comment on that. And that's also if we present. We may not be the group that present. I'm sure there's some tryhards that don't want to go first.
Right.
And they can go ahead with it.
I
Yeah,
do know that I think
this one is also an easy one.
our like
I say we wait till number 4 and stand a chance of not ever having to present.
But I also do think that this one is since it's the first one, it's also sort of like it's easier. This case study is not bad, but also the expectation is not would not be as high as it would be when we're down in the 4th or 5th, case study.
True.
So I'm not saying we should go, but I'm also not saying we should wait.
Right.
So,
Well, I know that they did say that some people might email ahead of time and take it, but like if nobody takes it, I guess we could go.
okay. Yeah, we'll just see if nobody takes it, then we'll just like, okay, well, let's go for it.
Right.
Let's do that. All right. Well, I think we have a starting process, and this is recorded, right?
Yes. Yeah, I recorded it, so I'll after it uploads, I can send it to you guys.
Okay. And then there is I think I read where we have to write like a page and a half reflection.
I think that's after class presentation.
After class presentation. Okay. All right. Oh yeah, I see that.
How do we want to, on our peer reviews, do we just
yeah, that's good. Good idea.
If you finish it, you just want to post it to our group text, and whoever grabs it or responds first, I'll go ahead and do it, whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
You want to go ahead and sign it? You want to go ahead and sign? So that's a little bit more accountability there, and then that way we can, like, we have a deadline this week of getting it done.
That's fine too.
I'm probably gonna be late in the week, probably Thursday or Friday.
Okay. So I got you. I'll take that, DM. I'll sign that to everyone.
Okay. And then you'll just text it?
Yep, I'll text it.
Perfect. And
so we're looking at peer reviews, task 1, everything complete by, we got to get it because these classes are rolling. So task 1, everything due by Friday, peer reviews by Monday.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds good.
All right, Friday, task 1. And then after that next week, we'll just follow the same schedule. Task 2 on Friday, peer review on Monday.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're rolling that quick.
It's coming. Yeah, it's coming. And, I think like for all of us, I think we're kind of getting closer to what little summer that we do have. So I try to take advantage of it, work through it. All right. I'll get this schedule together, send it out.
And then
where are you gonna put the recording? Because I'm gonna go back and listen to what y'all talk about.
I don't know. It takes like an hour or 2 to upload, and then as soon as it uploads, then I can send it to you guys.
Okay, that'd be good.
Or download, whatever it is that it does. It takes like an hour.
Yeah.
Can you guys put your emails in the chat box down at the bottom real quick?
Yes.
And hopefully it's a Google, because we use Google Docs.
You want Google then?
Yeah, I can do it on Google Docs.
Put put your your email.
Or Google Slides. I'll do the presentation on.
What's that? HCPSN. What is that?
That's my like school one because I don't really check Gardner Web to be honest. So
Okay. You
it's
should get it.
hcpsnc.org. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't need mine, do you?
No. All right. All right, guys. Got it. Okay. Well, Deanna, I'm gonna send out a schedule, and then you can for the next 2 weeks, task 1, task 2, and then you can use that to send out our Google Slides that we can kind of all work through.
Sounds good.
All right. All right, guys. Well, talk to you soon.
Tuesday night.
Yep.
You guys do too.